Welcome to the Adventure Story Podcast. First, let me take 20 seconds to tell you about my new book. What if we've been looking for Atlantis in the wrong place? When an archaeologist dies protecting an impossible secret, her final message sends Eden Black racing into the Sahara to find an ancient crystal encoded with the knowledge of a lost civilization. It's the power that once turned a paradise into a wasteland. From high-speed chases through Marrakesh to an underground chamber older than recorded history, Eden must face a rogue scientist determined to use the crystal to reshape the world. Last time it awakened, the Sahara was born. This time, it could end everything. The Sahara event is the 7th in my Eden Black archaeological thriller series. Search for the Sahara event by me, Luke Richardson, wherever you get your adventures. Right, let's get on with the episode.
The escalator at Holborn Underground Station isn't working again. You check the time before hurrying down the metal stairs. It's 11:58. The last train is due in 2 minutes, and if you miss that, it's a really expensive cab ride home. You look around and notice that you're the only person heading down. Hopefully that doesn't mean the train's gone already. Sweat prickles as you reach the bottom of the steps. The tunnel seems longer at night, the gentle downward slope more pronounced. You emerge onto the platform. It's deserted here too. Just you, the flickering fluorescent lights, and that peculiar silence that seems to belong only to empty stations late at night. The digital display board is dark too. No more trains scheduled, no digits counting down the minutes. You spin side to side and look into the dark eyes of the tunnels at each end of the platform. The rails disappear into perfect circles of darkness, like looking down the barrel of a gun. A clang echoes from somewhere deep within the tunnel, a train changing tracks or something. A warm front of air billows out, carrying with it the scent of iron and earth, and something older, something that doesn't belong in this century. Then, all goes silent. Not the normal silence of an empty station, but something deeper. The kind of silence that feels like it's actually listening. A whisper of movement breaks the silence from the left-hand tunnel. You turn towards it. Something stirs in the darkness. A shuffle, a scrape. The sound fabric might make dragging across stone. You take an involuntary step towards the tunnel, drawn by a curiosity that seems to bypass all rational thought. You step close to the edge and peer into the blackness. It's as though the darkness here is something physical pushing back against the light. Another sound echoes through the tunnel, maybe the soft pat of bare feet on stone. Hello? Is anyone there? Your voice sounds small, out of place. The temperature drops suddenly and your breath becomes visible. The air grows thick with the scent of incense and age. It's like stepping into a tomb that hasn't been opened for thousands of years. Then you see her, emerging from the darkness like a photograph developing in reverse. At first, she's just a pale outline. Then details slowly bleed into view. The elaborate headdress, the fine linen wrapped close to her body, golden bands at her wrists and ankles. Her feet seem to hover inches above the tracks. Her face is the last thing to become clear. Dark eyes lined with kohl, fixed on yours with an intensity that spans millennia. Her mouth opens, but what emerges isn't just a sound. It's the voice of every soul who's ever died in darkness, every curse ever uttered in ancient temples, and every secret locked away in forgotten tombs. Hey, I'm Luke. I'm an author of archaeological adventure novels. I travel the world looking for stories to put into my books and share with you right here on the Adventure Story Podcast. Today's story is close to home for me, sort of. Anyway, let's find out the truth behind the Egyptian ghost on the London Underground. First, let's get one thing straight. In London, we call the metro the Underground. It's metro for every other city in the world and the Underground for London. We're just a little bit stubborn like that. With over 1.3 billion passengers annually, the London Underground is Europe's largest metro system. It has 272 stations and 250 miles of track, and it's a maze that stretches beneath the city. But beyond the daily commuters and tourists, beyond the 540-something trains that run simultaneously at peak times, there's another layer to the Underground. A network of ghost stations, sealed platforms and abandoned tunnels that hide in the darkness between stops. And, legend has it, at just one of these ghost stations, an ancient Egyptian princess roams the tunnels trying to find her way home. To understand this, we have to go back to London in the 1920s. The discovery of Tutankhamun's tomb in 1922 captured the world's imagination. Suddenly, everything Egyptian was in vogue. Art Deco designs borrowed from Egyptian motifs. Fashion embraced the exotic look of the pharaohs, and the British Museum's Egyptian collection became one of the city's biggest attractions. But, along with this fascination, came fear. When Lord Carnarvon, the financial backer of Tutankhamun's excavation, died mysteriously just months after the tomb was opened, newspapers worldwide buzzed with talk of the mummy's curse. The story gained even more traction when Sir Arthur Conan Doyle of Sherlock Holmes fame suggested that ancient Egyptian priests might have placed supernatural guardians to protect their tombs. By the time several other members of the excavation team died under various circumstances, the public was convinced. The Daily Express ran headlines warning about the dangers of disturbing ancient Egyptian artifacts. Some even claimed that hieroglyphic inscriptions specifically warned, "Death shall come on swift wings to him who disturbs the peace of the king." Then, in 1933, with developments to the London Underground, it was decided that the station that served the British Museum, home to loads of Egyptian artifacts, remember, was no longer needed. The trains were diverted, and the station was sealed off from the outside world. It was the workmen closing down this station who saw the first sighting. They described a woman in an ancient Egyptian dress, wearing an ornate headdress, who would appear in the tunnels and let out blood-curdling screams. The sound, they said, wasn't like anything they'd ever heard before, a high-pitched wail in a language they didn't understand. Of course, the British Museum itself tried to dismiss these fears as nonsense, but they couldn't explain why this had been heard by several people on different days. 20 years later, night workers on the nearby Holborn station reported the same details: the ceremonial dress, the distinctive headdress, and always those terrifying screams. In the 1960s, the same story. Track maintenance workers this time refused to go into certain sections of the tunnel after multiple encounters with what they described as an ancient Egyptian woman floating above the tracks. And even in recent years, the sightings have continued. Late-night passengers at Holborn Station regularly report seeing this figure disappearing down the tunnel towards the old museum station. It's believed that this haunting presence is the ghost of Amun Ra, whose story begins with a seemingly innocuous artifact, a mummy board brought to the British Museum in the late 19th century. Made of wood and plaster, this intricately decorated board was placed directly over a wrapped mummy inside the sarcophagus. When this particular board was sold to the museum, though, it had already caused a stir. The 4 men who brought it from Egypt had already died mysteriously, and one of their wives just wanted to get rid of the thing. Another legend goes on to suggest that Amun Ra's mummy board may have played a role in one of the greatest maritime disasters of all time. The story goes that in April 1912, the board was loaded onto a ship bound for New York. Yes, you guessed it. It could be, it's got to be, the RMS Titanic. The tale gained such traction that by the 1920s it had become a staple of supernatural literature. Books and articles claimed that the mummy board carried a curse that doomed any vessel carrying it away from British shores. Some versions of the story even suggested that the iceberg itself was conjured by Egyptian magic. However, there's one small problem with this part of the captivating tale. According to the British Museum's record, that mummy board never left their collection. Not in 1912, not ever. The most common theory, though, is that is Amun Ra wandering the tunnels, searching for her way back to Egypt. Others suggest she's protecting the ancient artefacts stored above her in the British Museum, her spirit standing guard over the treasures of her civilization. So, if you're ever at Holborn Station rushing for that last train, listen for the sound of ancient footsteps and watch for movement in the shadows. If you hear screaming in a language that hasn't been spoken for thousands of years, well, maybe it's just the wind in the tunnels, maybe it's the echo of trains in the distance, or maybe, just maybe, Amun Ra is still there, walking the dark passages beneath London, searching for her way home. This is the Adventure Story Podcast. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. It is great to spend some time with you. If you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe, like and share. It'll take you seconds, but it really helps me spread the word about what we do here on the Adventure Story Podcast. And if you have a story you'd like me to explore, let me know in the comments or on the email hello@lukerichardsonauthor.com. If you need more adventure in your life, and let's be honest, who doesn't, you might want to join the Adventure Society. This weekly newsletter is your ticket to travel with me and share real-world adventures and find out first when a new story or a new season of the podcast drops. Check out lukerichardsonauthor.com/adventure society. lukerichardsonauthor.com/adventure society. And a special thanks to my patrons who make creating like this in different ways possible. All my books and podcasts and episodes and whatever else I make is dedicated to you. You keep me motivated when times get tough and focused when something else threatens to steal my attention. Oh, look at that. That looks interesting. If you'd like to support me and my various creations, consider joining the crew on Patreon. You'll get free and early access to my books, commercial-free direct downloads of this podcast, and more fun stuff as I invent it. Head to lukerichardsonauthor.com and check it out. Bon voyage, enjoy the adventure, and I'll see you next time.